All right, so you're getting ready for this locker room attendant interview, and let's be real, you really want to nail it.
It's true.
It's one of those jobs people don't always think about, but it's really important. We're talking about more than just towels here, right? It's about the whole experience, making people feel welcome.
Exactly. Think
Mm.
about it. The locker room, it really sets the mood for the whole visit, whether you're at the gym or a spa or even a theater. It's all about customer service, you know?
That's so true. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're looking at RoleCatcher's career and interview guides, especially for locker room attendants. So we're going to tackle some of those common interview questions head on and hopefully give you some tools to really make your answers stand out.
And the best part is RoleCatcher. They've got these AI tools now. They give you feedback, personalized even, to help you adjust your answers, for each job.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's just jump right in. One of the first questions you might get is, can you describe your previous experience working in a locker room?
Hmm.
But what if you've never actually worked in a locker room before?
Well, that's where you've got to think about transferable skills. Have you ever worked retail?
Right, right.
Or maybe you had to handle, like, the morning rush at a
Yeah.
coffee shop, volunteering even. Think summer camp counselor. All those things involve dealing with people, being organized, even a bit of conflict resolution thrown in there sometimes. Those skills, they transfer right over to a locker room environment.
I love that. You're right. It's about connecting those dots for the interviewer. So
Mhm.
instead of just saying, nope, never worked in a locker room, you could say, well, I actually worked as a mentioned previous role.
Mhm.
And in that role, I learned mention relevant skills.
Exactly. You're painting a picture, showing them how your past roles have actually prepared you for this one, even if it doesn't seem obvious at first.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so picture this. It's peak time at the gym. People are coming and going. It's kind of chaotic. How do you handle that kind of pressure?
Ah, yes. That chaos often turns into the question, how do you prioritize your tasks when you're working in a busy locker room? It's all about showing them you can stay calm, you're organized, customer-focused, even when things get a little crazy.
Absolutely. Because no one wants to see someone running around like, well, a chicken with its head cut off.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Definitely not. And a great way to answer that question is to actually outline your system. How would you prioritize tasks? So you could say something like, well, in a really busy locker room, my first priority is always the customers, meeting their needs.
Right.
So whether that's greeting them with a smile, helping them with a locker, answering questions, whatever they need, I want to make sure they feel welcome and taken care of.
I love that. It shows you're thinking about the customers first and that you have a plan. Then you could talk about the other stuff like cleaning, restocking, but still keeping that focus on the customers.
Right. Exactly. Showing them you can juggle, you can handle those different things without getting flustered.
And that you can keep cool under pressure, which, let's be honest, is super important in any job, but especially in a busy environment like that. So let's talk about something that's a fact of life in any customer service role, those tricky customers.
The dreaded, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer question.
I know, right? And it's so tempting to launch into a whole story about that one time a customer just went off on you, even though it wasn't your fault at all. But resist the urge. This isn't about bad-mouthing anyone.
Right.
It's about showing how you handle problems, how you can resolve conflict.
Absolutely. And this is where the STAR method, it can really be your best friend. It helps you tell your story in a way that makes sense. It's clear, concise. Interviewers love that.
Okay, so remind us, what exactly is the STAR method?
Okay, so STAR stands for Situation, Task, Action, Result. So you start by setting the scene, briefly describing the situation. Then you talk about your specific task in that situation, what you had to do. Then detail the action you took, how you addressed it. And finally, you tell them about the result, the positive outcome, of course.
Right, so for example, you could say, when I was working at mentioned previous role, customer was really upset because they couldn't find their locker key.
Oh, yeah.
My task was to help them find that key, but stay calm, be understanding while I did it. So I offered to check the lost and found, and luckily, we found it. The customer was so relieved, so grateful for the help.
Perfect. You just showed them that you can handle stress, you can solve problems, and you can turn a bad situation into a good one. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they want to hear.
You're right, see? That STAR method, it's actually pretty helpful. Keeps you focused, shows you can handle those tough customer situations. Speaking of keeping things in order, we got to talk about cleanliness, right? Huge part of being a locker room attendant.
Absolutely. A clean locker room is a happy locker room. Seriously, though, you're the one who's making sure it's hygienic, safe for everyone. And you know interviewers are going to ask about it. How do you approach cleanliness? What about safety protocols? You got to be ready for those questions.
Makes sense. They want to know you take hygiene seriously. It's a big deal.
Exactly. You really want to show them, your stuff here. And guess what? RoleCatcher's Career Guide. It actually talks about this. It emphasizes how important regular disinfection is, especially for those high-touch surfaces.
Oh, good point. So you could say something like, I'm really big on keeping things clean and hygienic. I would make sure that all surfaces, especially those lockers, the benches, any equipment, gets disinfected regularly. And of course, I'd follow the established protocols.
Exactly. You've just shown them you understand how crucial hygiene is and that you're proactive. You're not waiting for someone to tell you to clean. You're already on top of it.
Right. Connecting those dots. You're not just doing tasks, you're creating a good experience. Okay, but safety isn't just about being clean, right? You have to be alert, ready for anything.
You got it. They might even throw you a curveball. Like, what do you do if someone gets injured or there's some kind of emergency? How do you handle that?
Oh man, those curveball questions. What do you even say to that?
Honestly, just be honest. If you've never had specific training, like first aid, say so. But also show them you're eager to learn. You could be like, well, I haven't had official first aid training yet, but I'm definitely interested in getting certified, learning how to handle emergencies properly, especially in this environment.
That's smart. Turning what might seem like a con into a pro. You're showing them you're willing to grow. Okay, let's switch gears for a sec. Confidentiality. Locker rooms, they're all about privacy, right? It's got to be a judgment-free zone.
100%. Interviewers want to know you can handle sensitive stuff with discretion, that they can trust you.
Right, like what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
Yeah. Exactly. They might ask about a time you had to stay tight-lipped, keep things confidential, or maybe how you deal with someone trying to get info they shouldn't have access to.
Ooh, tricky situation. How would you play that?
You could say, I totally get it. Confidentiality is super important in a locker room. It's just basic respect. I would never, ever share personal info about the guests, their belongings, anything like that. And if someone asked me something I wasn't comfortable sharing, I just politely let them know, hey, I'm not allowed to give out that information, but I can point you in the right direction if you need to talk to someone else.
See, now that shows you understand boundaries. You're professional, but you're not being rude about it either.
Exactly. It's all about showing them you can be trusted, you're responsible.
And speaking of responsibility, what about handling money, lost keys, all that inventory stuff? That's part of the job too, right?
Absolutely. Got to have those practical skills. Shows you're organized, detail-oriented, and you can follow procedures.
Right. Even if you haven't done those exact things before, think about your transferable skills.
Yeah.
Ever worked a cash register? Maybe managed stock in a store? Or even just kept track of your own things really well? It all counts.
Exactly. Don't downplay those everyday skills. They matter.
And this is where those RoleCatcher AI tools are seriously cool. I was checking them out. And they help you, tailor your answers for each job description. How awesome is that?
It's like having a career coach right in your pocket telling you what to say.
I know, right? So it analyzes the job requirements and then gives you feedback. Like, how well do your answers actually match what employers are looking for?
And it might even suggest some things to add, like, hey, this job wants someone detail-oriented. Why not mention how you double-check your work?
So smart. Like little tweaks to really make your answers pop.
Exactly. Little tweaks, big impact.
It's like having a secret weapon for your job hunt. Okay, we've covered a ton. Any last tips for handling those curveball questions we talked about?
At the end of the day, just relax. Be yourself. Let your personality show.
Authenticity, so important.
Totally. They want to see if you'd be a good fit for the team.
And speaking of fitting in, what about moving up? Is this a dead-end job, or can you actually build a career from this?
That's a really good question. So while you might not climb the ladder super high within the locker room itself, the skills you learn, they're gold. Seriously, they can open doors to other opportunities in the sports and entertainment world and beyond even.
So it's like a stepping stone then.
Totally. You start as a locker room attendant, learn the ropes, but then you've got customer service skills, you're organized, you can solve problems, you work hard. Those are in demand everywhere.
So it's not just about towels and lockers, it's about the bigger picture.
Precisely. And don't forget about networking. Think about it. You're in a sports facility, a theater, surrounded by people who are passionate about what they do. You never know what could happen.
You're right. A casual conversation in the locker room could lead to.
Who knows? Exactly. Maybe a promotion, a new career path, or just some valuable advice and connections.
It really is.
Yeah.
You never know where your next opportunity will come from. But even with the right people in your corner, you still got to nail that interview, right?
Yeah.
Any final words of wisdom for our future locker room attendants?
I would say remember the power of preparation. Go over that job description again, practice your answers to those common questions, and don't be shy about those transferable skills. Those are important.
Yes. And don't forget those RoleCatcher resources, their career guides, and those AI tools. They can really make a difference, I'm telling you.
Absolutely. Those are your secret weapons. Use them. Practice your answers, get feedback, tweak them until you feel confident, ready to rock.
Confidence is key. You can do it.
You got this. Walk into that interview with a smile, a positive attitude, and really own it, Show them you're the one who can create a welcoming and spotless locker room environment.
I love it. You've got the skills, you've done the work, you're ready.
Exactly. And remember, this is just the first step. Those skills you learn as a locker room attendant, they're going to take you places.
That's right. It's not just about towels and lockers. It's the start of something bigger. So go out there, ace that interview, and don't stop until you've reached your goals.